It is Monday again and Bitcoin is pumping above the $85,000 again, so this is looking very bullish, but we can also see a lot of interesting resistance coming into the market. And however, we are also having a huge CME gap open, so keep in mind that we could also see a very bearish move in the coming day for Bitcoin. So in today's video I'm going to tell you everything about Bitcoin and what we can expect for Bitcoin in the coming week, because there are a lot of interesting formations unfolding. I will also have a look at the two altcoins, Dogecoin and Solana, but about that later in the video. There's also a lot of interesting news and data coming into the market for the Bitcoin ETFs and just Bitcoin overall, and I will discuss everything with you in this video. So watch this video all the way to the end. Don't forget to slap up that like button and let's dive right into the charts. If we zoom in on the 50-minute time frame, we can see that Bitcoin created the CME gap at the Friday evening, and we saw a huge CME gap was opened around the $66,810, and I was expecting that Bitcoin would trade around this level, but we can see a separation of the CME gap and Bitcoin is now pumping to the top side. So this is looking very bullish, of course, but however we want to close the CME gap, so because we don't want to leave any gaps open, so we could potentially see a throwback to this level, and that would cause a huge pump. And from the point where we are right now, we could see a dump for more than 2%. So keep in mind that this bearish move could happen in the today or maybe later in the week. But of course, there's also a probability that we just continue the pump to the top side and we won't come back to this level ever again. So today we will see what Bitcoin is going to do. And if we zoom in on the 4-hour time frame, we can see that Bitcoin is pumping right now, and we can also see that this huge consolidation formation was unfolding, and we can see multiple touch points on the top side as resistance, and also on the lower side we saw multiple touch points as support. And currently we are breaking out of this huge formation, and we also see a close of this 4-hour candle, so we can confirm the breakout, but potentially we can see a throwback of this resistance area to turn it into support, and from there we can aim for higher targets, and this could be confluent with closing the gap for Bitcoin around the $66,810. So if we can come back to this level, retest it as support, we can continue the pump to the top side, because the trend is up, and I think Bitcoin will see more top side in this week. And last week the Bitcoin ETFs had an insane week, and we already see a lot of huge numbers coming into the market. We are now seeing a total cumulative inflow for more than 22 billion. So this is insane, of course. And we can see that the Bitcoin ETFs are creating all-time high after all-time high. So this is looking very bullish. And of course, this is having a very bullish effect on the price of Bitcoin. And now we want to come to this next big milestone of the $25 billion of total cumulative inflow. And that, of course, will be very bullish. So let's see if this week can be another bullish week for the Bitcoin ETFs. And if we can see another huge numbers coming into the market for the Bitcoin ETFs. And if we then have a look at the daily time frame for Bitcoin, we can see these yellow lines act as resistance on the daily time frame. And we can see that this huge resistance around the $69,000 was a little bit too strong last week. We saw a bounce back to the previous resistance to turn it into support, and that's exactly what we did. And Bitcoin is following my path just like expected. And now we want to see that Bitcoin is coming back to this next big resistance around the $69,000 and break it to the top side. And then we could potentially come back to this next big resistance. And that will be confluent with these previous highs around the daily time frame. And that will be around the $72,000. So if Bitcoin is going to break the $69,000, we will pump most likely to the $72,000 later this week. But for now, we want to first break this level, but we could also see a rejection from this level, and that we have to aim for lower levels around the $66,000. And one of the most bullish charts is this daily time frame chart for Bitcoin. We can see we shifted from a downtrend into a huge uptrend, and this is looking very bullish. So Bitcoin is now in this huge uptrend to the top side, and we want to gain a previous high. We already created a higher low from here, so we now want to create a higher high and then just continue the bullish momentum to the top side. And this of course will be very bullish, but we have to keep in mind that we need to break these previous highs in order to become a little bit more bullish. So these are the horizontal resistance levels for Bitcoin to break. And the first big level will be around the $69,000, and that's confluent with the previous highs around here. And then if we break that level, we will come to the next big resistance, and that will be confluent with the $72,000, just like I said in the previous chart. So let's see if Bitcoin can just continue the bullish momentum to the top side and create a higher high. And there was also a lot of interesting news coming into the market in the weekend. We can see that Hong Kong is approving more Bitcoin and crypto exchanges this year, and Asia looks to be ready for Bitcoin. And this is of course very bullish for the markets and the crypto adoption overall. So I think if a country will be pro-Bitcoin, it will be very great for the country, just like we saw for El Salvador and a lot of other countries that are accepting Bitcoin. So I think this is very bullish for Bitcoin and the crypto market overall. And looking at the Bitcoin weekly time frame, we can see that Bitcoin was in this huge bull flag formation, and a couple weeks ago we broke out to the top side and we saw a beautiful bullish break of this huge bull flag formation to the top side. So this is looking very good. And we can see a very good close of this weekly candle. Last week we saw a bit of a red candle and a decline back to the previous resistance, but we turned it into support, and now we can see a continuation to the top side. So let's see if Bitcoin can separate itself from this bull flag. And if we can see an exponential move for Bitcoin, then we can break the previous all-time high, and the breakout target of this bull flag formation will be more than $100,000. So this could all happen in the coming months. And I believe we will see a lot of interesting price action in the end of 2024, because Bitcoin is in this huge uptrend on the weekly time frame, and we now want to see those exponential moves just like we saw in the previous bull market, and we want to see a new all-time high getting gained before the end of 2024. And let me know in the comments if you think that Bitcoin is going to make a new all-time high in 2024 or that we will see it in 2025. And the first interesting altcoin I want to have a look at is Dogecoin. I've been talking a lot about Doge on my socials, and I said that after the break we could see a huge retracement back to this previous resistance to turn it into support, and from there we could aim for higher targets. And if we look at the chart, that is exactly what Dogecoin did. We broke to the top side, we broke this huge horizontal resistance area, we came back to this level to test it as support, and from there we saw a nice bounce to the top side. So this was a very interesting trade to make for Dogecoin. And from this retest, you could have potentially made more than a 10% increase. So this was a very beautiful trade to make. So congratulations if you followed my trade, which I shared with you on my socials. And now we can just aim for higher targets, because this previous resistance was turned into support. And we want to see more exponential moves for Dogecoin happening in the coming days. And we can also see a lot of interesting resistance coming into the market around this level. So I think this will be the first make or break level for Dogecoin to come back to. And if we're coming back to this resistance level, I'm going to take a little bit of profits after buying at this bullish retest, because I think this will be a very interesting point where we could see a little bit of a rejection coming into the market for Dogecoin. So overall, Dogecoin is looking very bullish. And let me know in the comments if you took this trade together with me on Doge. The next altcoin I want to have a look at is Solana. Solana also broke this huge resistance area on the daily time frame, and I discussed this with you on my socials. So I thought we will see a retest of the resistance to turn it into support, and that we could enter the market for here in the bullish retest. And that's exactly what Solana was doing. We saw a beautiful bullish retest. From there you could have entered the market in the long, and from this level where you could enter the market in the long, you could potentially already make more than an 8% increase. So that's also a very beautiful trade, just like on Dogecoin. So Solana now created a higher high on the chart. We also created a higher low on the chart. So now we want to create another higher high to continue the bullish momentum to the top side. And these previous highs are confluent with a lot of resistance. So I think if Solana is coming back to this resistance area, we could see a lot of resistance coming into the market. We could potentially see a little bit of a rejection coming into the market. And at this point, I'm going to take a little bit of profits for Solana. But we could of course also pump through this resistance area and then retest this as support, and then just aim for higher targets and see a continuation of the bullish momentum. But for now, I think we will see a lot of interesting price action for Solana in the coming days. And if we're coming to this level, then you could potentially make a 15% increase from the bullish retest, which is a very beautiful trade to make on Solana. So this was it for today. Please give a like if you find the video useful. Don't forget to follow me on my other socials, and I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.